All right, good morning, everyone, to the All About Nothing kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King, and you can find us on social media. You can find me on social media at Barrett Gruber. With me, as always, Mr. Bill Kimler, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks. You can find
You
him
say, as always, it's
as
only 2 days a week.
okay,
I've seen you moonlight on the side and cheat on me with other guest hosts in this morning
okay,
program.
but I don't put those recordings out there off to distribute to all the podcast platforms. This is the
Oh,
only one I do that on Tuesdays
edit,
and
e-
Thursdays.
edit my complaint out then, please.
You can follow Bill at Political Bill SC. We're here recording and going live every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 5:30 a.m., bringing you our real conversation, thoughts, and prayers.
Hey, I want to open up with a compliment.
Yeah.
I am awesome. No, I'm kidding. I meant to compliment you.
Oh,
Uh, you do a really good job solo. And I'm going to just call that out because that is a skill to be able to talk on your own cohesively and interestingly for 20, 30 minutes, however it may be. I listened to your quick episode that you dropped this past
oh,
weekend post
yeah.
Comic Con. And I've tried to do that solo bit and I've ended up deleting every one of them. I think what I do with Dr. Jamil Brooks is magic. The way we work off of each other, boy,
Yeah.
I'd put that up against, any professional podcast out there. But solo, oh, it's horrible. It is the worst. Unlistenable would be a compliment to what it sounds like. So compliments to you for being able to do that solo stuff.
It's I honestly I don't I think it had uh I developed it a lot better, or I think I was better at it when I was actually like on I had a morning show that I had gotten hired when I was like 18 years old at a very small little 1,000-watt radio station. And I think that some of that came from uh the record player wouldn't work all the time. We had two phonographs that we literally played records off of. We had an 8-track player that sometimes, if whoever was on the air before me didn't necessarily, if they didn't, I guess, push the 8 tracks back to the next track and things like that. So there was plenty of instances of just having to ad lib, trying to figure out what needed, because you can't have dead air. We had a gag at almost every radio station I worked at, and you may have too, where if there was any instance of dead air, um, there was a varying number of times that someone could scream from the sales floor or from the marketing floor or whatever, the dead air, dead air, dead air. And if they got to 10, then you had to buy them a dinner. So that was intimidating. I was, 18, 19 years old. If I couldn't afford to buy anybody dinner. That's
That
silly.
explains the superstar media empire you now run today. Started as an 18-year-old working at a radio station.
And if I hear dead air on any of y'all's shows,
Oh, you don't because I edit the F out
it's
of my show, so it is crisp and clean. Second thing I wanted to point out is that you got a chance to interview Tinkerbell at the
yeah,
latest Comic Con.
yeah. I'm
And
very
wasn't
excited
it
about that.
kind of weird seeing a 95-year-old lady dressed up in that costume? That must have been kind of a weird fetish or something, right? I mean,
I'll tell you this, she was spry. Like, for 95 years old, she when we do, when because it'll be this month, but when I do get that episode, when I get that content pushed out for some of the episodes, um you she ran that conversation. She controlled it. Like, and walking around with her at the Comic-Con, I didn't get any video footage of us walking around, but she moves as quickly as the crowd would let her move. And we had a really, really fantastic time at Comic-Con. It was very well attended, for being only the second coastal Comic-Con. And we got to sit down with guy Ross. Well, okay, Zach did a walk and talk with Ross Marquand, who is, of course, the um, Red Skull from the Avengers: Infinity Wars and Endgame. I got to talk with Matthew Watterson, who is Magneto's voice. We got to talk to Matthew Wood, who does the voice of all of the battle droids for.
remind me that going back to the Red Skull guy.
Yeah.
Was he in both of those movies, or did Red Skull only have an appearance
He
in
was in
one of
both
them?
because Thanos threw his daughter off, and
Right.
then Scarlet, or Red. No, what is
Oh, they went
Black
back in
Widow?
time, didn't they?
Yeah,
No, but I
yeah,
still don't recall. Yeah, yeah, they
yes,
had to go back in time. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah,
that was the second movie. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, so he was in both, and he took over for Hugo Weaving.
Oh,
Uh,
I knew that.
but yeah, and then of course he was Aaron in Walking Dead, for basically the entire run of the series. But it was a really, yeah, and then Tinkerbell, Margaret Carey. She was, it was such a cool, like, when and she wasn't even there as a guest. When they found out that she was in attendance of the con, which apparently one of the staff recognized her and immediately got a hold, like immediately came and ran and got me and was like, she would like to sit down if you'd like to. I was like, fuck yeah, let's
I mean, so
go.
95 years old, that's born in 1930,
Yeah.
right? Just think about how the world has changed in those 95 years.
The rise and fall of fascism, the rise and fall of the Soviet communism.
I was
Uh,
thinking microwave ovens,
oh,
GPS, but you go with what you go with. Internet,
uh, uh,
smartphones.
the yeah, the build the building of the interstate system. Like,
Yeah,
that one to me is probably, of all of them, technology great, but the fact that that we built an interstate system that is connected at not the most efficient way, but but at least as efficient as we could, uh, and the fact that it was built for military purposes, and in the end, it's used primarily by civilians to transport us and commerce and whatnot across the world, and it's just
I've
that
seen
that to me is the big
some
one.
old-timey commercials from the '60s, and, I'm sure some people are like, "What do you mean old-timey as '60s?" But I've seen some TV commercials from the '60s where they were advertising the interstate system, from the late
Really?
'50s, early '60s, and they were actually trying to promote citizen usage of that and try to get them to travel around. And you watch this video, and it's a convertible, so the hood is, or the roof is down, the top is down, and mom and dad and the kids are all just bouncing around loosely in the car on the highway system, not strapped in, running around inside the car, no seat belts. It's dad smoking, mom smoking, kids are smoking. It was really a fun glimpse into life back then.
Neither one of us. I don't think either one of us are old enough to remember. But what was the vehicle that was deemed unsafe at any speed?
I don't know. I'm sure my parents owned it. We actually had. You remember a car called the Gremlin?
Yes. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
actually had a
Ford
Gremlin as a
Gremlin.
kid. It was
Yeah.
basically a shoebox with four wheels on
Yeah.
it. We all crammed inside.
That's great.
I also wanted to make another announcement, if I may.
Please.
I've actually acquired a talent agency, and I am going on the market for anybody in need, especially given recent events, of a Vladimir Zelensky lookalike. And
Uncanny.
if you need this, and just imagine me in a black shirt,
Hmm.
and if you need this for a skit or a photo shoot or a play or anything where you need Zelensky, I'm your man. So just reach out.
Hey, it had not occurred to me.
It hadn't to me either, but I swear to you, Barrett, in the last 3 days, I've had no less than 10 people reach out and say, "Did you know you look like?"
Can
And
you
I was like,
do a Ukrainian
no,
Southern Russian accent? Could
no,
we? Could
no.
we? I could get you with Zach. You guys could work on that, and we could.
I can do as many accents as your other Bill. All right, the two of us together add up to zero voices.
That's well, at least two. there's a,
I,
there's a
I
pretty
can I can do
consistent running of.
the last voice I think I ever did was Ross Perot.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a story behind that. Let me tell you this quick one.
Okay,
The first time and only time until recent events that I got involved in politics was in 1992. So I was a senior in college at the time in a liberal arts school in northern New Jersey called Drew University.
okay,
And at that time, there were three candidates running for president. There was George Bush Sr., a young upstart named Bill Clinton and Ross Perot, this independent firebrand from Texas. And so we're just minding our own business on campus. And one day we got a campus wide email that certain areas were going to be closed off, that there was going to be secret security sweep, that there was going to be a presidential rally on
Hmm.
campus.
Hmm.
And this was, I would imagine, Octoberish, maybe September. And Bill Clinton made a surprise visit on our campus, not because we were some huge school, but it was beautiful. And there was a beautiful backdrop in which he could do a quick little press rally. So he held the rally, and me and my buddies, we could care less. We weren't involved in politics. We didn't have any persuasion one way or the other. But we kind of like that Ross Perot guy because he was like the Bernie Sanders of the time. He was odd. He was nerdy. He kind of came out of nowhere. He represented something that was outside of the system. And
Yeah.
so we went to this rally looking for attention. And what we did is when Clinton started to speak, we were in the back and we unfurled a huge banner we smuggled in there saying Ross for boss and started chanting it. When everybody turned and looked at us, we got all the attention. The press swarmed on us and started drilling us with questions. Why
Yeah.
do you support Ross Perot? We didn't know anything about him, so we just made up some BS. So we became known on campus as the Ross Perot boys. And later that year, they actually held a mock presidential debate where the president of the Young Republicans stood in for Bush, the president of the Young Democrats stood in for Clinton, and they invited me to stand in for Ross Perot. So I had acquired big old ears, and just attached them to my head. And I was able to develop this Texas accent and talk about the great sucking sound going down to Mexico with NAFTA. And no, just, I was able to nail his voice back then.
That's good.
And it was probably one of the most fun I had, and then dropped politics for the next 30, 40 years.
That
Got
was
back into it later.
You dipped your toe in and was like, well, this might not be for me. And then, the head injury and you came back to it. And
Yeah, right.
today is Tuesday, March the 4th. And Congress has invited President Trump to do the State of the Union, which to me, it feels a little early to do an
Will you
assessment
be
on the State of the
watching?
Union, at least for content. But I had a thought, which what would potentially be some of the most absurd ways that Donald Trump could open. So I decided to make a top 10 out of it. You want to hear this?
Go for it.
All right. This is the top 10 most absurd ways that Donald Trump could open the 2025 State of the Union address. Number 10. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I had like in the spirit of Mr. David Letterman. I do have
Content warning. You must be 50 years or older to understand the content of this show.
uh, look. David Letterman
I
used to
mean,
do
who's gonna get the reference to David Letterman unless you're over 50?
David Letterman used to do Stephen Colbert's job. So, and every night he would come out with a new top 10. So, here is the top 10 ways, most absurd ways that Donald Trump could open the 2025 State of the Union. Number 10, my fellow Americans, the State of the Union is like my taxes. Nobody knows, not for sure. Number 9, my fellow Americans, the State of the Union is under audit just like me. Number 8, my fellow Americans, the State of the Union is way better than fake news says it is. Believe me. Number 7, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is being rebranded as Trump Nation, biggest rebrand in history. Number 6, my fellow Americans, the state of the union is as strong as my legal defense fund. So please donate. Number 5, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is still counting votes from 2020, but I'm leaving it. I'm hearing great things about it. Number 4, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is brought to you by Trump Steaks because nothing says America like overpriced, poorly aged beef. Number 3, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is a little shaky, but don't worry. I just appointed my golf caddy as Treasury Secretary. Number 2, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is more divided than a Mar-a-Lago dinner bill because I never pay. And number 1, my fellow Americans, the state of our union is whatever Vladimir tells me it is. There it is.
Ooh, ooh. I like number 4 the best with the Trump steaks.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because if he's not hawking wares at some point during that State of the Union, I'll be surprised. If he's not pushing some new hat or
Absolutely.
pushing a new meme coin or a trading card, he's going to try to sell something up there.
Yeah. The tariffs were supposed to go into effect. I have not looked at the news yet because, I go straight from getting coffee to popping on here so that I'm getting ready. But
So let's make
those,
a prediction. It's before 6 a.m. on Tuesday, the day he said he was going to impose tariffs.
yep.
What's the over under that they actually get imposed? Or at the last minute, he says he struck some sort of deal and is delaying it.
Well, the over on. I'm gonna say it's probably 60-40 that the tariffs probably went into effect.
I'm going to go the opposite. So I'll take that bet.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's
Okay.
more likely he's going to make some sort of unilateral statement that he's cut a deal in which no deal was ever cut. He never contacted anybody, but he's going to say that Canada agreed to this and Mexico agreed to that and China agreed to that. And aren't I great? And no more tariffs. I think if you look at the pattern, because that's what's happened for
Yep.
the last
Over and
month
over.
or so. And I think there's some sort of stock manipulation going on
Oh,
because
that wouldn't surprise me.
as the tariffs approach the deadline, the stock market tanks. He rescinds, the stock market runs up.
Yeah.
And somebody is making money off of this with full knowledge in advance of what's about to happen.
Yeah. So I just pulled up Google News and uh Trump session is what the Independent is calling it. They predict a crash of the economy after the new tariffs hit the markets. So,
But he doesn't actually impose anything that is real.
right,
He manipulates through media and messaging. So
that's true.
I guess we'll know by the time you and I talk again on Thursday whether
Yeah,
they went into effect or not.
yeah. The markets. Well, and we'll know. We'll yeah by 9 o'clock this morning we'll know where the markets stand and if the tariffs have really gone into place. It's going to be a 25% tariffs on all imports from Canada and Mexico with 10% tariffs on Canadian energy. I,
Okay, I'll let's do a little friendly bet.
okay.
I'll bet you a box of big old Trump steaks. So we'll see. If you're right, you'll have that coming in the mail.
You have no idea how long it's going to take for me to shave the leather off of my shoes in order to provide this to you. I it's I still don't understand because Canada unless what it is because when they paused it for 30 days it was because Canada and Mexico both basically re-acknowledged all of the efforts that they're trying to make in order to uh, slow down the traffic of fentanyl into the United States. And of course, from Canada, all of last year, it was like 43 pounds of fentanyl that was seized from Mexico. And that's the thing, you can only really,
From and the majority from U.S. citizens
yeah, US citizens.
transporting it over the border.
Um, and you can't really track how much is actually crossing the borders. You can only track what is seized. Because I don't think they're doing any sort of like, chemical breakdown of the fentanyl and being able to determine which country it's coming from because yeah, and honestly, the most fentanyl coming into the country is coming in from our pharmaceutical companies. Like that's who's bringing in the most of it. So like if people are concerned about fentanyl and what it does, look at your pharmaceutical companies. They're the ones that are actually bringing in the most of it. I don't even know what it does. It's a filler of some sort. I don't know.
So this claim that the Trump administration and his supporters make that the United States is now again respected worldwide. Nobody's laughing at it. Well, you've heard the claim,
I couldn't
right?
even get through it.
Well, and yet, what do you see happening? You see Canadians are booing the national anthem of the United States. You see the Europeans are now excluding the United States in various
Oh
talks.
yeah,
The only respect that you've gained was among Russians and North Koreans,
yeah.
who are, by the way, that is a most bizarre twist. I mean, you realize there are thousands of North Koreans now with Russian soldiers invading Ukraine.
I am absolutely dumbfounded by how comfortable some acquaintances that I know are I'm uncomfortable with how comfortable they are at us cozying up. We got we got dinged on TikTok. I don't even think we said anything that was, whatever. It was just opinions, but people on TikTok sometimes get their feelings hurt very quickly. But anyway, I am surprised at how comfortable some people are with this idea that we are now allies with Russia and we're allies with North Korea and
There's no way
Mussolini.
around it. We
Yeah,
are siding with North Korea and Russia now.
yeah,
And I've heard the comments that Zelensky doesn't want peace. And I replied to this lady. I says, you know what? Let's all just invade your home one day. Let's sit in the living room, and then when you call the cops, we'll yell at you for not wanting peace and letting us just stay there in your living room.
right.
Like that's what's going on here, and the absurdity of people saying that Zelensky is the problem, that he is not looking for peace. If Russia would get the F out of Ukraine, you have peace,
Yeah,
right? Then you can start talking peace talks. But to
yeah,
say, you know what, if Zelensky wants peace, he'll just give up half the country, forget about it.
yeah. And honestly, it isn't. They don't want half the country. They want all of it. They want all of it. They want a path to Poland. They want a path from Poland to Germany and Germany to France, France to England. This is Putin's end game. Is I know I've said it before. Is absolutely all of Europe. He wants a Soviet communistic states all the way to the Atlantic.
How
Well,
old is Putin by this point, do you think?
70 something.
And
He's
then how old is Trump?
Um, uh,
80,
78.
78?
Yeah, he'll be 80 this year. 79 this year.
How are these people living so long?
I well, so Putin's fairly healthy guy. He plays hockey even in his early 70s or however old he is. But Trump, I gotta believe that whatever chemicals that they make McDonald's food out of is just progressively hardening him and
Maybe
maybe
he's a
Reeves.
cyborg, and all that makeup he wears covers that up,
Maybe
and that could explain a lot.
it's such a weird, the whole thing is just so odd. And I know I keep saying that we're living in the dumbest timeline, but like I don't know how the Avengers left us here. Like how could Doctor Strange abandon us to this reality? It's just,
Yeah, this is a reality that Peter Parker messed up somehow
that's
and
right.
then bolted to an alternate universe and left us with the mess.
Did you watch the Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man yet?
I have not yet. That's on
Oh,
my to watch list. I haven't gotten to it yet.
I am. I know that X-Men '97. They haven't announced a release date for the
Season
second
two.
season, but
Okay.
yeah, but I'm gonna go back through and rewatch X-Men '97 season one.
I'm
Uh,
still in the middle of X-Men 90s,
oh,
the
okay,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
original one,
yeah,
just to kind of get back into the spirit before I hit 97 and see how many references I can catch.
yeah. Oh,
But then I got the Spider-Man. I still have to watch Agatha all along. I
oh,
haven't watched that yet.
fantastic.
And then this new Daredevil I hear is phenomenal.
Today,
I
it
know.
dropped today. I'm
And from
excited.
the reviews I'm hearing, they're saying that this is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah,
So I am all psyched up to watch it.
I am too. I am too. It's gonna be a blast. Well, Bill, we did it again.
What, we messed up?
No,
we
no.
wasted we wasted a morning. We
we got
never got to any point that you wanted to bring up.
we got community restricted on TikTok. That is, I think we should mark that down as an achievement.
I'm still trying to think. There is nothing we said that would have gotten a community restriction.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
There was no foul language. There
No.
was no sensitive
Uh,
topics.
I may have said F once. I
I
think I
don't think you
did.
did.
Oh well, I was gonna take credit for it. If my live doesn't get community restricted at least once when I go live, I don't know that I've accomplished anything. It really
Wow.
holds my head just above water because my ego is way down here, but when it comes to these community restrictions, I'm like, oh, I ticked somebody off. That's fantastic.
I think it was when you started bringing up Marvel. That's what got us restricted.
That's fair. All right, Bill. Well, thank you again. That's going to wrap it up. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Don't
Hey,
forget
who
you can.
was that? I'm sorry, don't wrap up yet.
Oh,
I
okay,
feel like we're
fine.
just getting started. Who was that guest that you had on last week? I think it was Wednesday or was it Friday? You had another guy on.
Oh, there was I did have a gentleman who I brought on from
This is
TikTok. So
a complete stranger.
complete stranger.
Yeah, you don't want to do that again.
It went a little off little off the rails.
I
He
watched that and I'm like, tell me this isn't a guy Barrett like goes to Comic Cons with. I mean, who is this guy?
No, he requested he said he had a question, a Marvel question. I was like, all right, sure. So I brought him on. Not Marvel until like the very, and then it wasn't even a question. It was he wanted, he basically he talked about politics for like the whole thing, which I'm always game for. As long as it's going somewhere.
Yeah,
But then I then at the very end he gave me a comment or maybe a potential of what Marvel could do, bring back Agents of Shield and throw Eddie Brock in there as an agent of Shield or something like that. And I was like, I'm not 100% certain that Agents of Shield is ever going to come back because that was a, I mean, everything could potentially be canon, but the fact that the show, I watched it all the way through. I think you have or will.
I have.
Um, I think it jumped the shark when they transported through the rock ooze into the future, and the Earth had been broken up, but people still survive on the Earth despite its lack of density anymore. So you know
Minor details.
yeah, spinning cores really help with the whole the or a spinning iron core really helps with the magnetic field that protects the Earth. And if you don't have that, you don't really have a planet. Look at Mars. Look at the moon. Neither one of those have really a spinning core. They think that Mars core basically slowed down and the solar waves just
All right. Well,
wiped it
thank you,
away.
Carl Sagan. I appreciate the lesson.
First time I met Carl Sagan. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for today. Big thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget you can follow me at Barrett Gruber across all social media, and Bill, you can follow him at Political Bill SC. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 a.m. because apparently we don't believe in sleeping in.
And
Uh,
tune in to Black, White, and Blue in the South
yep,
tomorrow morning. We have the
that's
new
right.
episode dropping.
New episode also, and that this is the continuation of the one that you had AJ on last week.
Yes. But AJ's
Is
not on our continuation.
okay.
We After we let go AJ, Jamil and I stuck around for another hour
That's
and
fantastic.
recorded material. So this is the
That's
leftovers.
That's when you get the best content. I mean, no,
It
no.
really was.
AJ was fantastic. I did reach out to him, and he said he'd be interested in coming on the show, as long as it was better than when he was on your show. And
Couldn't
I
be
promised
worse.
him.
But I got to tell you, I just finished editing most of our episode last night. There's some good stuff there.
That's
It's
awesome.
some very intense material
Oh yeah.
that people may not be aware of, and
Okay.
it was a little less on the silly and a little more on the serious side, but it's less than an hour, and
Okay.
it'll go by fast.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that. Um, I guess until next time, everybody, you all stay safe, be kind, and remember that gun violence in the United States kills more children than anything else. And yeah.
We'll workshop that.
Hey, I actually have a whole list of them that I wrote down. Recent here I'll do this one. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and remember that recent studies show that 52% of Gen Zers believe that the UK would be better governed by a strong leader who bypasses parliament and elections. So I guess democracy isn't trending anymore.
Hmm.
I have a bunch more.
Give me
Like
another one.
literally. Okay, all right. Here's one. Over 40. I got to do it again. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and remember that over 49,000 people died of suicide in 2022. That's one death every 11 minutes. So if you're feeling down, reach out. After all, we've got plenty of podcasts to keep you company.
All right, I've got one for you.
Okay.
Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands off of 95-year-old women dressed as Tinkerbell.
Oh,
Oh, see? See? Did I hit a little close to home there?
She was such it was such a unique experience